مهمان امشب ما چهره آشنا برای اغلب ایرانیان شهر پورتلند، آقای استیو کفوری. آقای کفوری که فارغ التحصیل دانشکده حقوق از دانشگاه لوئیس اند کلارک هستند، دارای یک دفتر مشاوره حقوقی در امور دولتی هستند و سالهاست که در شهر پورتلند فعالیت دارند. آقای کفوری به اتفاق همسرشان در زمان شاه برای خدمت در سپاه صلح به ایران رفته و به مدت 2 سال به تدریس زبان انگلیسی اشتغال داشتند. آقای کفوری علاقه خاصی به فرهنگ ایرانی داشته و در ماه آپریل سال جاری هم از ایران دیدن کردند. با تشکر از آقای کفوری که دعوت ما را برای این مصاحبه پذیرفتند، نظر شما را به قسمت اول این مصاحبه جلب می‌کنیم. در طول این مصاحبه از عکسایی که ایشون از مناطق ایران گرفتن نیز استفاده خواهیم کرد.
Mr. Kafuri, I understand that you just had a visit to Iran last April. Is that right?
Yes, I just returned from a 2-week trip there. I went with 4 other men. We spent 2 weeks traveling all over the country.
Right. What was the force behind your decision to go back to Iran?
Well, I'd been there in the Peace Corps in 1964 and 1966,
Right.
and I fell in love with the country. I wanted to go back ever since, and now in the last few years when the political climate has changed and made it possible for Americans to go, and I was able to get a visa,
Right.
I went.
Right. And I'm sure that you talked to your friends and some of them tried to change your mind, right, to go back
Well,
to
no, but I asked a lot of my friends to come with me, and a lot of them were afraid to come. They thought it was a dangerous place for Americans to be.
Right. Was it really dangerous when you went there?
No, I could not have felt more safe in my own bed in Portland, Oregon than I felt in Iran. People were overwhelmingly gracious and welcoming.
Right. So you witnessed more hospitality than hostility over there, right?
Well, first of all, Persians are extraordinarily hospitable people. That's
Thank you.
a very important part of their culture, and they treat guests well. And secondly, they love Americans, and they told us so over and over again every day.
Right. So you did you have to go through government channel, deal with them during your stay over there?
No. All we had to do was get in the country to get a visa. And once we were there, we had a guide and a driver in a van, and we traveled wherever we wanted to go and spoke to whomever we wanted to speak and did what we wanted to do.
Right. Well, people in this country, they witness propaganda, right, through the Iranian channel, right, slogans against the United States and hostility. Was that really representing people's feeling, or you think that that's a product of the government of Iran?
Well, it's interesting. The first night we were there, just right outside of our hotel, there was a small demonstration. This was the same night that 25,000 people in Pakistan had a riot over somebody made a movie about Muhammad
Right.
in Europe. And there were maybe 100 people in Tehran, in the middle of downtown Tehran, and they were chanting "Death to America" and that kind of thing, making speeches. But I was right there listening and talking to them, and I felt it was very pro forma, that they were not really very angry.
So that was organized by the government,
I
obviously.
assume.
Right. Mr. Kafuri, you said that you went to Iran in 64 through 66, is
Yes.
that right? And you were teaching over there, right?
Yes, I was in Zanjan, a
Zanjan.
small town in Azerbaijan, and my wife and I were teaching in the high schools there.
Right. And did you go to Zanjan this time as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Well, it was amazing. I wanted to go back to Zanjan for 2 reasons. I wanted to see some people that I had become close to, and I wanted to see what had happened to the city. It was amazing for the development. A lot of the old adobe buildings had been torn down, maybe a third or half of the town, and new brick buildings been built up. There were a lot of roads, new streets, cars filling the streets. There are a couple of universities there now, a television station, all these things.
Right.
It was a small, dusty town when I was there before.
Right. When you were there, I'm sure that you heard Ahmadinejad's speech and basically propaganda that he has against the West. What do you think about him as a president of Iran? Do you think that he's popular over there?
Well, he's obviously popular with some people, but I think the country's in very difficult economic conditions, and people elected him, as I understand, because they thought he could help them economically, and that hasn't proven to be the case. So I think he's in difficult going to be difficult times getting reelected.
Right.
Nobody that I talked to had a good word to say about the government.
Okay. And you mentioned inflation, and I heard that that's about 20%, right, of inflation in Iran. That's what you actually...
And large unemployment.
Large unemployment.
And underemployment. People can't get jobs. There's a lot of very highly educated people, of course, in Iran. It's a very literate country. And there are a lot of people with advanced degrees who can't get jobs in their field.
Right. Do you think that the sanction has anything to do with this economic situation that Iran has?
Well, I'm sure it has some things to do. But here's a country that's enormously rich, and the price of oil going out of the sky. He would think that the country would be flush with money.
Right. That's what we are hoping for. Of course, that is not really taking place in Iran. In addition to Zanjan, where else did you go?
Well, we went to the tourist sites. We went to Shiraz, Persepolis. We went to Yazd, Isfahan, and then saw small towns along the way, Kashan, and some. We traveled around Tehran and saw that, and then, of course, up to Zanjan and Qazvin.
Right. And did you introduce yourself as American? I mean, the
people ask me a lot, where are you from? And I speak a little Farsi,
right.
And so I was able to talk to them. And I told them I was from America. They just said, "Oh, welcome to Iran. We're so happy that you're here. We love Americans." I went to one hotel in Yazd, and they had flags from all the various countries in the world, but no American flag in the hotel. And I joked with the women who were clerking there, and I said, "Where's your American flag?" And they were embarrassed, and the manager of the hotel came out and said he hoped someday that we'd have better relations with America so that he could put an American flag in his hotel.
Well, that's great. Do you think that the relationship between the United States and Iran is going to improve?
As soon as we get rid of George Bush, I think it'll improve a lot, yes.
Okay. Well, we have a few more months, actually, to wait, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I saw Ahmadinejad on national television just a couple days ago talking with NBC.
Right.
And he said, if Americans will talk to us, we'd be happy to talk to them. And I would have thought that George Bush would have said, great, let's start talking. But no, he dismisses it.
Right. Why do you think that this animosity between these two countries has taken as long as 30 years? What is the reason behind that?
Well, I think there are a number of reasons. One is that I think the war between Palestine and Israel has been a factor in keeping the two countries apart. I think the image of radical Islam and the American view that Iran is run by radical Islamists has been part of that. There's a long history of Iran being unhappy with the American government. I think that's back to the Mossadegh days, right. And their control of Iran by foreign countries and support for the Shah. I understand a lot of history that keeps the two countries apart, but I think the people of each country want to have good relationships.
Okay. We will continue our discussion next week, Mr. Kafuri.
Thank you.
Thank you.